All right, so if you clicked on the thumbnail, it was a bit satirical, definitely overplayed it a little bit. We're talking about two different fountain pen converters here. Wow! It's maybe not gonna be the most exhilarating topic for most of you, but if you care about the Z27 and Z28 converters, buckle up because you're gonna get a pedal to the floor experience here about these converters. So hang on, here we go. You're not gonna believe what happens in this video because it's so exciting. LAMY is a well-regarded and popular fountain pen brand and great for a lot of purposes, especially for those newer to fountain pens. But sometimes there's this confusion around using converters for bottled ink and which one you might need, since it will only accept LAMY proprietary cartridges and converters. Now, every LAMY fountain pen to date, with the exception of the LAMY 2000, is a cartridge converter filling pen and can accept at least one of the converters that I'm gonna be talking about today. But it can be kind of confusing because some converters fit some pens and not others, and you may not know why and which ones and all that, but I know all that, and I want to share all that with you today to make it so that you don't have to think about it that much. Now, there are two different LAMY cartridge converters currently out there as I'm recording this in early 2025. The black Z27 and the red Z28. They're very similar, with a few subtleties that could make the difference in which fountain pens are compatible. First, I want to do a quick little historical note here. The LAMY Z28 converter used to be called the Z24, and the LAMY Z27 converter used to be called the Z26. Now, these converters were redesigned slightly in 2016 when the names changed, and so I'm also going to be showing you the old ones versus the new ones a little bit more towards the end of the video. All right, so what are the differences between the Z27 and the Z28? The LAMY Z27 converter has a black piston knob, while the LAMY Z28 converter has a red piston knob. The LAMY Z28 converter has the addition of two small pegs on the outside, which helps it to fit securely into the grooves on some of the more entry-level LAMY pen models. Because of these additional pegs on the side, that means that the Z28 converter will not fit into some of the other LAMY fountain pen models that don't have these grooves made to accept the pins. Now, the Z27 is a more universally compatible converter. It fits all LAMY pens. Any pen that can accept the Z28 converter can also accept the Z27 converter. It just doesn't have those pegs. So when in doubt, go Z27. That's the TLDR of the whole video. All right, so how do you know which pen is gonna exactly fit which converter? We got a few different ways. One, we've got this beautiful chart here, which you can, pause, screenshot it, write it down, whatever you want to do. This video can be a reference, but that can be kind of tricky. So we also have a written blog post that's a little more referenceable. We got a link to that in the description, so you can go check that out. Or if you're, wondering about a specific pen and you're curious, you can go on to gouletpens.com, and on every page of, each pen model in the product description, we show you which converter that will fit it, and we have pictures and stuff like that. So it should be clear, so many different ways for you to be able to reference it, so you don't have to memorize it all right now. You can always go find that information pretty easily later on. So you might be asking yourself, why do they make a Z27 and a Z28 if they're that similar? And the truth is, that's a great question. I think, maybe it just has to do with the fact that the pens that have the little the parts that accept the post for the Z28 are things like the Safari and the lower price pens that are much more popular in terms of volume. So I think it just makes sense to offer that as the standard. But on some of the higher end pens that they don't want to put those posts on there, and it limits the design on the inside of the pen, they make the Z27 for that purpose. So the Z27 will fit everything, so you can just not have to think about it and go with that version. But typically what you're going to see most people using with things like the All-Stars and Safaris are going to be the Z28 with the red top. All right, so let's come back to what I mentioned earlier. What is the difference between the current Z28 and the older former version of it, the Z24? Well, the quickest way to tell a Z24 and Z28 apart is going to be that pressure band that holds the screw piston mechanism onto that clear reservoir. On the Z24, it was black. And now it's a matte silver color on the Z28. Woo, it's life-changing. The plastic body of the Z24 was cloudier looking, and the Z28 is clearer, so I actually really like that change. The red knob was a little shinier on the Z24. Now it's more of a matte on the Z28, which, helps a little bit with the grip, gives you a little bit more texture to hold on to, so that's a good move. And then the opening is going to be stepped down slightly on the outside of the Z28. The inside diameter is exactly the same, so the part that actually holds on to the back of the pen is identical, so that doesn't really change anything. It's just, I guess, aesthetic. Now, overall, both converters function identically, and you can swap your Z24s that you have from the days of yore and your Z28s interchangeably between all of your LAMY pens no matter when they're made, and you don't really have to stress about it very much. This changeover happened nearly a decade ago. It was in 2016. So at this point, you're not likely to find a lot of Z24 converters new, but you might have some laying around, or if you've been into pens for a while, if you buy any used pens, maybe you'll see them, or you might see them here and there in like pen videos, pen review videos and stuff. I know we have plenty of them from the older days of Goulet pens in our videos because we've been making videos since 2010. So we got plenty of Z24s in there. All right, so what's the difference between the current Z27 and the older Z26? Now there's really not much of a difference on these ones. It's just a minor aesthetic change. The Z26 had a shiny silver pressure band and a shiny, black knob. And the Z27 has a matte finish on the pressure band and the knob, and that's it. They function identically, and you may have not have even known that there was anything different unless I pointed it out. But now you know, just in case you come across any older content or you hear the name Z26 being thrown around, you basically know it's interchangeable with Z27. It'll fit all your LAMY pens, like literally all of them except the 2000, new or old. So yeah, that's really all you need to know, if nothing else. So there you go. Who would have thought that you would watch to the end of a video about specific fountain pen converters, right? Well, I want to thank you for sticking around. So I'm going to reward you with a fun little tidbit here. The very first order of fountain pens that I ever purchased, this was in mid-2009, had a LAMY Vista with a Z24 converter in it. And I'm still using that converter today. So that goes to show you that, you're probably not going to have to replace these all that often. But, of course, if you do need to, that's what we're here for. We got gouletpens.com for these converters and lots of other fountain pens, ink, and paper, and all kinds of good stuff to help you enhance your writing experience. Subscribe to our channel. We got thousands of other videos about as nerdy of fountain pen stuff as you could possibly want to know. That's what we're here for. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and write on.